Let them. 2 words. Millions of Instagram shares. People are literally tattooing this phrase onto their bodies. It's the self-help mantra of the year. The promise? Absolute emotional freedom. Your friends exclude you? Let them. Your partner is lazy? Let them. Your boss overlooks you? Let them. It sounds intoxicating, doesn't it? The idea that you can detach from the chaos of other people's choices and finally stay in your own lane. A philosophy of radical acceptance. But I'm not here to join the choir. After 2 weeks of seriously testing this idea and digging deep into Mel Robbins' new book, The Let Them Theory, I reached a disturbing conclusion. This advice works like a sedative for an anxious mind, but taken to its logical extreme, it becomes a poison for your ambition, for your standards, for your deepest relationships. Today, the Let Them Theory goes on trial, because what looks like peace may actually be permission. Permission for mediocrity, permission for distance, permission to slowly disengage from the things that matter most. I applied 3 core ideas from this book to my own life. What happened next was not what was promised. It wasn't freedom, it was isolation. Welcome to Read and Tested. I'm your host, and today, we stop just reading. We start dissecting the truth. Mel Robbins is a powerhouse. She pulled herself back from bankruptcy, from depression, with one brutal idea, the 5-second rule. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, go. No debate, no hesitation. It was aggressive. It was about action, overriding the voice that tells you to wait. But her new book, The Let Them Theory, is a sharp turn, from offense to defense, from action to acceptance. The core idea is simple. We're exhausted because we're trying to control what we can't. Other people, their choices, their moods, their behavior. Robbins calls it a control addiction. We manage our spouse's health, our kids' social lives, our coworkers' emotions, and then she offers an equation. Let them. Stop trying to control others. Plus, let me. Focus on your response. On the surface, this sounds familiar. Classic Stoicism. Epictetus 101. Some things are up to us. Some things aren't. Robbins just repackages it for a modern audience. Burnt out, overstimulated, always scrolling. So she uses everyday scenes, a high school prom, a husband glued to the couch, a friend group that takes a trip without you. But when I went deeper, I noticed something unsettling, a subtext. One that quietly suggests peace matters more than progress, that acceptance is better than accountability. Before I dismantle the theory, let's be fair. There's a reason it's sweeping the nation. We are a generation running on high-functioning anxiety. Always connected. If a friend in London has a bad day, I know instantly. If my partner eats junk food, I see the health stats. Nothing is distant anymore, and our brains? Completely overloaded. So when Mel Robbins says, the problem isn't them, the problem is your need to control them, it feels like relief, like a weight sliding off your chest. Finally, permission to stop caring so much. In the book, she tells a story about her son's prom. No corsage, sneakers instead of dress shoes, rain pouring down, Mel is spiraling. Dinner plans, outfits, everything. Then her daughter grabs her arm. Mom, let them get wet, let them eat tacos, it's their prom. And in that moment, the theory is brilliant. It works for low-stakes situations, traffic jams, rainy days, minor disappointments. But then Mel takes this logic and stretches it into marriage, into addiction, into career growth, high-stakes dynamics. And that's where I draw the line. Here is my core disagreement, the thesis of this video. The Let Them Theory confuses control with standards. Robbins says trying to change someone is control, that it breeds resentment. I disagree. Holding someone to a standard is not control, it's love. It's how growth happens. When you simply let them be who they are, you often protect their worst self and avoid the friction that real intimacy requires. To test this, I took 3 ideas from the book and applied them to my real life. Work, relationships. I became the detached observer, and here's what actually happened. Case 1. The trap of indifference. Experiment 1. The let them stress response. In chapter 3, Robbins talks about stress. A man coughing on a plane. Her advice, let him cough, and let me put on headphones. She calls this taking your power back. So I tried it at work. There's someone on my team. Let's call him Mark. Always late. Work full of errors. Normally I step in, I push, I try to ensure excellence. In Robbins' language, I try to control the outcome. This time, I didn't. Let Mark be Mark. Let him be late. Let the draft be sloppy. My only job was to control me. So I stayed calm. No pressure, no reminders. And the result? The project failed. The client was unhappy. And Mark? He felt great. No stress, no friction, no reason to change. The argument. Robbins says pressure creates resistance. She cites Dr. Alok Kanogia, Dr. Tali Sharot. The claim? You can't motivate people. Warnings don't work. Threats don't work. Because everyone believes they're the exception. I disagree, not with the science but with how it's applied. Yes, you can't force a neuron to fire in someone else's brain. But human civilization? It runs on social pressure, on standards. When I simply let Mark, I'm not being enlightened. I'm accepting mediocrity in my environment. Robbins says the let me part is where the power is. You decide whether to stay or leave. But that creates a false binary. Accept the behavior or walk away. Where is the middle ground? Where is conflict? Where is friction? High-performance environments don't run on let them. A Navy SEAL commander doesn't say, let him keep a messy uniform. A championship coach doesn't say, let him skip practice if he feels like it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. By practicing let them, I did feel calmer, less stressed, but I also became less effective. I stopped driving. I became a passenger in my own life. This theory protects your emotional comfort, but it does so at the cost of collective excellence. Experiment 2. Adult Friendships and the Great Scattering. In chapters 11 and 12, Robbins talks about how friendships quietly fall apart in adulthood. She shares a painful story. A friend group living right across the street. They stopped inviting her. Her advice? Let them. Don't chase. Don't ask. If they wanted to, they would. So I tried it. I stopped initiating, stopped organizing, stopped managing the calendar. I looked at a distant friend and thought, let them be distant. And the result? Silence. Absolute silence. Here's the problem. Robbins admits let them can lead to loneliness if you don't do the let me part, which is go find new friends. But that ignores human inertia. Relationships aren't just about energy or flow, they're about work. Sometimes people need to be pulled, sometimes they're depressed, overwhelmed, or just lazy, and they don't need you to let them drift away. They need you to reach in. If we all adopt this theory, we become islands, waiting for others to show up perfectly. And if they don't, we detach. That's not letting them, that's discarding them. Robbins says, don't expect the text back. I say, demand the text back. Or at least have the hard conversation. The book teaches us to lower our expectations to avoid disappointment. I argue the opposite. Keep expectations high. Accept the disappointment. That's the price of real connection. She also says, if friends go on a trip without you, assume they aren't your people and move on. That's a legal defense. It protects the ego. But maybe you should ask why. Maybe you should engage the mess. Let them becomes a shield, and it blocks the sword fight of intimacy. Experiment 3. The Spouse on the Couch. This is where the book lost me. Chapter 14. A friend's husband, unhealthy, overweight, permanently glued to the couch. Robbins' advice? You can't change him. Let him sit on the couch. Let him eat the chips. She introduces the ABC loop. Apologize for pressuring. Back off. Celebrate progress. And then, wait. 6 months of backing off before deciding if it's a deal breaker. So I tried this mindset in my own relationship. I stopped voicing needs, stopped naming frustration. I just let them be. And the result? The resentment didn't disappear, it went underground. And my partner? They didn't transform. They got comfortable with my silence. Here's the flaw. Robbins says pressure creates resistance. Sometimes yes. But apathy creates decay. If you watch someone you love destroy their health or their potential, and you choose peace over intervention, is that love? Or is that management? She pushes a lawyer-like detachment. Let them feel the consequences. That works for a toddler refusing a coat. Cold teaches fast. But for a spouse with high cholesterol, the lesson is a heart attack. This approach is too clinical. It turns love into a motivation experiment. I'll withdraw pressure and observe. That's not partnership, that's supervision. Real love intervenes. It says, I love you too much to let you do this. Yes, it causes conflict. Yes, it raises stress. But that stress, that's the heat that forges the bond. The let them theory avoids the heat. The kitchen stays cool, but nothing ever gets cooked. So after living this book, here's the synthesis. Mel Robbins is right about one thing. You cannot control outcomes. Not the weather, not the stock market, not the fact that your teenager hates prom corsages. For those things, let them is a perfect antidote to anxiety. Stoicism for the uncontrollable. But she's wrong about people. People aren't the weather. They're malleable. They respond to standards, to expectations, to pressure. In the book, Robbins says, let people learn from life. She quotes Dr. Robert Waldinger. Don't shield people from consequences. I agree, but there's a line between shielding someone and challenging them. Her theory swings the pendulum too far, from control freak to passive observer. The book tries to solve the pain of control with anesthesia. Let them. But pain isn't the enemy. Pain is information. If you're hurt by your partner's laziness, your friend's distance, your team's failure, you shouldn't numb that pain. You should use it. Use it to confront. Now the loophole. Robbins would say, but there's also let me. You focus on your response. Here's my counter. Under this theory, the let me response is almost always withdrawal. Let them exclude me. Let me find new friends. Let him be lazy. Let me go to the gym alone. Let the team fail. Let me update my resume. That's not growth. That's escape. It creates a life of constant pivots. A life where difficulty signals exit. The let them theory teaches exit strategies, not building strategies. I applied the let them theory. And honestly, it felt easy. It felt safe, like wearing a Teflon suit. Nothing could touch me. But I missed the friction. I missed the passion that comes from expecting more from the people around me. If you're drowning in anxiety, trying to micromanage the world, read this book. It might save your sanity. But if you're trying to build a high-performance team, a deep, gritty marriage, a life of excellence, be careful. Don't let them be mediocre. Don't let them walk all over you. And don't let them drift away. Sometimes you have to look life in the eye and say, no, I will not let you. I expect more. That's the honest result. Now I want to hear from you. Is let them the secret to peace or just giving up? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more experiments where we test the books so you don't have to, hit subscribe. This is Read and Tested. See you in the next experiment.